Today is August the 3rd, 2023. I'm Dr. Charles Johnson, Associate Professor of History, the Chair of the Department of History, and the Director of the Public History Program. I'm interviewing Ms. Tammy Ferrell, and we are discussing the Bragtown community and her family, and in particular her mother, Jessie Ferrell. Ms. Ferrell, if you'll introduce yourself by giving me your name and when you were born and where you were born.
Hi, my name is Tammy K. Ferrell, and I was born November 3rd, 1961, and I was born in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay, wonderful. Where in Durham were you born?
I was originally born in North Durham. I ended up moving in the Bragtown area when I was 10 years old, and I've been there ever since.
Who are your parents?
My parents are Jessie Lenorio Ferrell, McLean Ferrell, and my dad is Thomas Martin Ferrell.
Okay, wonderful. Are they from Durham?
No, my mother's from Hamlet, North Carolina, but my daddy is from Durham.
Okay, all right. So, Hamlet, North Carolina. So, let's talk a little bit for now about your mom.
Okay.
So, how did mom get from Hamlet, North Carolina to Durham, North Carolina?
She met my dad somehow in Durham, and then they, I guess, got engaged and got married and had kids. She had 15 kids by him.
Okay. Did, when she was in Hamlet, what made her want to come to Durham?
She had expressed that the poor, that it was less fortunate down there than it was in Durham, and she was seeking something different, and she wanted to, she didn't graduate from high school. Her level of education was 11th grade, and so she wanted to pursue her education, so she did come down to Durham and start Durham, at that time it was Durham City Schools.
And about what period was that when she came to Durham?
It had to be in between the 40s and the 50s, considering her age.
Do you know where she lived?
She grew up in northern Durham on Liberty Streets. She lived in Peachtree Alley. She lived on Railroad Street, and I think those are the areas that she lived in.
Mm-hmm. And at what point did she move into the Bragtown community?
We moved into the Bragtown area when I was 10 years old, so that was in the early 70s. I was in 5th grade when I moved there, and she just, like I said, she had 15 kids, and the oldest one there was, I think, 3 had left. The 3 eldest ones had left, and so the rest of us was there. So at that time she had like 12 kids. One was deceased as a child when he was 2. He got, actually before she moved out there, he had got ran over by a car. A vehicle ran him over, and when he was 2, and so she had 14 children left. So 3 was not there, so it was 11 kids still there, moved out in the Bragtown area with her.
Mm-hmm. And well, talk to me a little bit about your mom. Like, so if you wanted people to know, like, who Jessie Ferrell was.
Oh, she was a character, let me just let you know. But she had such a giving, divine heart, and she was very religious and God-fearing. I know, and everything she did, she did everything just with. She did everything she did. It was just like it had to be God-fearing or what God would have her to do. Even her death, she did not. She was like, when she found out she had cancer, she was like, "Oh, if God doesn't want me to live, I'm not going to take any treatment because If God wants me to live, then He'll let me live. But she did not take any treatment. So when she initially was diagnosed with cancer, she lived for 5 years and she passed with no treatment, no pain medications, or no anything. So everything she did was really based on her religious beliefs and her fear of God. Is there so many things that I could share about her, but just her love of people. Oh my God, her love of people who she never met an enemy. Everybody is just gravitated towards her. Like I mean, even you would think her enemies. She had enemies, of course, because everyone does. But even they relied on her and depended on her for everything, and she didn't take it personal. And that was a good thing about it. She was such a good person, and she had such a good heart, and she was such a advocate fighter for everything she believed in. And she taught her kids, and she passed that down to her kids: never give up, keep fighting no matter what, take as many people with you as you go along. And one thing she would always tell me, she would say, Tammy, God put us on earth to serve others. That's what I want y'all to do in your life. Whatever capacity you decide to go in this life, whatever you decide to do in this life, make sure you're serving other people, because that's what God will put us here for. And most of us are in the capacity of serving most people. And no matter what, when we do things, we always bring it back to our teachings from my mom, our grandchildren, the people in the Bragtown community still come up and tell us stories about things she did for them, things she did in the community, how if she, the community wouldn't be in the state that it's in if it wasn't for her, because she solved all the problems. We never had the police to come out to our community, in the Oxford community, because she settled everything in there. She made sure all our needs were met. She made sure, not just food, she took us on trips. People did, a lot of times kids don't get to see a lot of things in this world, but she made sure we went to Pennsylvania, we went to the beach every year. She made sure we spent the night out in clubs and on camps. She advocated and went to bat for us in different agencies, like the city, the county. She made friends with some of everybody, mayors, judges, city councilmen, senators, whoever it took to get the things she needed for her community. And so it permeated out to other communities, and they would come and ask, how did you do this? How did you do this? And she would just give them the information, and they would start to do the same things for their community in other communities. Oxford is a DHA community. So we all just always got together. We had our own baseball teams, basketball teams. And again, the way she took care of us, I remember when this group of people came out to the community, and they were white people, and they came over. Me and mom was sitting on the porch, and they came over. They were playing baseball in the field. We played baseball across from the house, and mom came over there. She was like, what do you want? Because people stealing kids and taking kids. She asked them, she was like, what do you want? And they were like, oh, we just want to ask some questions. She said, these are my kids. They weren't biologically hers, but she was like, these are my kids, and I just need to know what you want with them. And anything you do out here, you have to go through me, because I will make sure my kids are protected. Mm-hmm. And so that's how somehow she became president over there. And I just think they just threw the name out because she advocated for everybody through, like I said, through a lot of organizations, even through Durham Housing Authorities. She was like, anything that happened, she would get called the president on the phone. At the time was Mr. Taborn and James Taborn, and she made such good friends with these people. She had such good, rich relationships with these people that she maintained relationships with, that she gathered through these organizations. It was like when she passed, everybody cried, and the funeral was like for 4 hours. And I'm like, are we ever going to get to the cemetery to bury her? We were late getting there after 5 o'clock. The funeral actually started at 12 o'clock, and we didn't get there after 5. And the procession line was so long. It was so many people, and what got me was they saluted her all the sheriffs and deputies saluted her when she came in, and I knew she had done so much for the community. I mean, it's the same tears that I guess, I miss her, and I think everybody misses her. And in recognition of her, we do a Bragtown reunion every year. So it's this weekend, and every year in August, we do a Bragtown reunion. All of us come out. And since I still stay in the Oxford Manor community, I'm the president of the Oxford Manor community, so we organize and we go out and we do a big reunion from starting on Friday, from Friday through Sunday. We go out together on Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday we just have two big, huge cookouts. We have so many grills and everything going, in recognition of her and what she did for Oxford Manor and how she brought us together, because we were so united. And people would say, why the police don't come out here? Or why are y'all always together? How did y'all get this together? And she was instrumental in doing those things for us, because we knew that, of course, she took her kids along. She made us, and which I'm glad she did, because I grew. She made me grow as a person, as an individual, as of loving people and being kind, compassionate. All the characteristics that she had, she passed over to her kids. And you can see that in us, even with our families. And she was definitely a stickler on taking care of your family. And no matter what your kids got involved in, what they did, I'm your mother, I'm your parent, I'm your sister, I'm your brother, I'm going to stick by you. That doesn't mean I, agree with what you've done or what has happened, but I'm here for you. And that's the way all of our family members, and we sit around and we talk about that, how we cannot let our kids go, how some other parents say, we're going to I don't do that for my kids, but we do. And we'll say, oh man, why do we do this for these kids? But that's what she instilled in us, and that's what we do. And we kind of pass that on to our grandkids and to our great grandkids. And everybody is so united.